She made a mistake. Get over it, my mom said about my girlfriend. Hooking up with my brother at Thanksgiving. They invited her to Christmas, not me. I quietly transferred the house deed out of Dad's name. New Year's Eve, the eviction notice came. Hey Reddit, grab your popcorn because this one's a doozy. My family just found out that the house they've been living in for the past 15 years? Yeah, I own it. And they're about to get evicted. But before you call me the asshole, let me explain how we got here. I'm Marcus, 32M, and I've spent my entire adult life being the family ATM, while my younger brother Derek, 28M, has been treated like he's made of gold-plated unicorn shit. This isn't your typical golden child story, though. This is about what happens when you push the responsible kid too far and forget that paperwork is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let me paint you a picture of my family dynamics. Dad's a retired union electrician. Mom never worked outside the house. They raised two boys in a modest three-bedroom ranch in suburban Ohio. Nothing fancy, but it was home. Derek and I shared a room until I was 16 and saved enough from my landscaping job to finish the basement myself. Learned drywall, electrical, plumbing, all of it from YouTube and Dad's old manuals while Derek was out partying. The favoritism started early. Derek was the baby, the charmer, the one who could talk his way out of anything. Meanwhile, I was the serious one, the boring one, the one who didn't need as much attention. When Derek got a DUI at 19, Mom cried about how the system was targeting her baby. When I got accepted to state university with a partial scholarship, Dad asked if I was sure college was worth the debt. I paid my own way through school, worked construction in summers, bartended on weekends, graduated with a degree in finance and about $30,000 in student loans. Got a job at a mid-sized investment firm right out of college, lived in a shitty studio apartment, and threw every spare dollar at those loans. Paid them off in 4 years while Derek was dropping out of community college for the third time. But here's where it gets interesting. It's about 8 years ago, my parents hit a rough patch. Dad's pension wasn't stretching as far as they thought. Mom's medical bills from a surgery were piling up, and they were 3 months behind on their mortgage. The bank was starting foreclosure proceedings. Dad called me at work one Tuesday. Didn't even ask how I was doing, just launched straight into it. Marcus, we're in trouble. Need to talk to you about something important. I drove over that night. They laid out the whole situation. They were about to lose the house, owed $68,000 on the mortgage, couldn't keep up with payments, and had no options left. Dad actually had tears in his eyes when he asked if I could help. How much do you need? I asked. That's the thing, Dad said. We need someone to take over the mortgage entirely. Maybe you could co-sign or something? I did the math in my head. My loans were almost paid off. I'd been saving aggressively, and I had decent credit. I could swing it, but I'm not an idiot. I'll buy the house, I said. Outright. Pay off the mortgage. You guys can live here rent-free, but the deed goes in my name. Mom actually laughed. Marcus, honey, that's not necessary. We just need help with the payments for a bit. Those are my terms, I said. Otherwise, you're on your own. Dad looked at Mom. Mom looked at Dad. They were 3 months from eviction. Fine, Dad finally said. But this is still our home. You're just helping us out with the paperwork. Bullshit. It was my house. I paid every cent of that mortgage off, cleared their debt, and put the deed in my name. Gave them a handwritten agreement that they could live there as long as they needed. No rent, no timeline, just family helping family. Took me 6 months to rebuild my savings after that purchase. Completely wiped me out. But I was proud of myself. I'd saved my parents' home, secured a real estate investment, and done something genuinely good. You know what I got for it? A thank you card and a lecture about not telling Derek because he might feel bad that he couldn't help. Derek didn't find out I owned the house. Neither did anyone else in the family. Far as everyone knew, Mom and Dad just worked it out with the bank. I never corrected them. Didn't see the point. Fast forward to 2 years ago. I started dating Riley. Met her at a work conference in Cleveland. She was in marketing for a medical device company. Sharp as hell. Funny. And she actually seemed interested when I talked about boring shit like index funds and retirement planning. We hit it off immediately. Riley was everything I didn't know I needed. She was driven but not cutthroat, ambitious but grounded, and she came from a normal family that didn't treat one kid like a demigod and the other like an ATM. Her parents were divorced but cordial, her younger sister was in grad school, and family dinners were actually pleasant instead of Derek highlight reels. After 6 months, I knew she was it. Started looking at rings, planning out how I'd propose, the whole 9 yards. My boys at work were already planning the bachelor party. I brought Riley around for family dinners maybe once a month. She got along great with Mom at first. They bonded over cooking and some HGTV show they both watched. Dad liked her because she asked intelligent questions about his old union work. And Derek? Well, Derek was Derek. My brother's never held a job longer than 18 months. He's had this string of failed ventures. Tried to flip cars without knowing anything about cars, started a consulting business. That was really just him bullshitting other unemployed dudes at coffee shops. Even did some Instagram fitness influencer thing for a while where he sold meal plans. He copied from free websites. But Derek's got this personality that makes people want to help him. He's charismatic in that slimy car salesman way, always has a story, always working an angle. Mom thinks he's entrepreneurial. I think he's a professionally unemployed mooch. When Derek met Riley, he turned on the charm immediately, complimented her dress, asked about her job, made jokes that weren't quite funny, but people laughed anyway, because that's what Derek does. Riley was polite, but I could tell she wasn't buying it. Your brother's a lot, she said on the drive home after that first dinner. That's one way to put it. He asked me for my company's HR contact info. Said he was looking for opportunities in the medical field. Let me guess, he wants you to get him an interview. Pretty much. I gave him the website URL for our careers page. I laughed. That was Riley. Professional, polite, but not a pushover. For the next year and a half, things were solid. Riley and I were talking about moving in together, looking at apartments closer to both our offices. We'd even discussed marriage timeline stuff. She wanted to be engaged before moving in, I agreed. Was planning to propose that Christmas. Then came Thanksgiving. My family does Thanksgiving the same way every year. Everyone comes over to Mom and Dad's, my house, but whatever, and Mom cooks enough food to feed a small army. Aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole extended clan. It's usually fine, if a bit chaotic. Riley and I showed up around 2 p.m. with a homemade apple pie and some expensive wine. Football was already on. Derek was already 3 beers deep and holding court in the living room about some new business idea involving cryptocurrency and NFTs or some shit. Bro! He yelled when he saw me, getting up for one of his aggressive bro hugs. And Riley, looking good as always. That should have been my first clue. Derek doesn't compliment people unless he wants something. Dinner was the usual chaos. 20-some people crammed around 2 tables, passing dishes, talking over each other, the whole deal. Riley sat next to me, and we were having a good time despite Derek launching into some story about how he'd almost closed a major deal that would have made him 6 figures. What kind of deal? My uncle asked. Can't really get into specifics, Derek said. NDAs and all that. Riley squeezed my hand under the table. She knew bullshit when she heard it. After dinner, the men traditionally watched football, while the women cleaned up. Some sexist tradition that everyone just accepted. Riley actually liked football, so she grabbed a beer and planted herself on the couch. I was about to join her when Mom grabbed me. Marcus, honey, can you help me get the folding chairs from the basement? It was a 2-person job, sure, but it felt weird. Whatever. I went downstairs with Dad while Mom started directing the cleanup operation. We were down there for maybe 20 minutes, organizing chairs and bullshitting about the Lions' garbage season when I heard someone coming down the stairs. Marcus! It was Riley's voice. Yeah, we're almost done. But her voice sounded weird, strained. I looked up and she was standing at the bottom of the stairs, looking pale. Can we go? Like now? Dad and I exchanged glances. What's wrong? I asked. Just, can we please leave? Something was seriously wrong. I dropped the chairs and headed upstairs, Riley right behind me. Dad followed, asking what happened. When we got to the main floor, the energy was completely different. People were standing around awkwardly. Mom was in the kitchen with her arms crossed, and Derek was sitting on the couch looking like the cat that ate the canary. What's going on? I asked. Nobody answered at first. Then my Aunt Sarah spoke up. Maybe you two should talk privately. Riley grabbed her coat. I want to leave. Now. I looked at Derek. He was smirking. That fucking smirk. What did you do? I asked him directly. Nothing, bro. We were just talking. Bullshit. What happened? Riley's voice was tight. Can we please discuss this in the car? I grabbed my coat and we left. The second we got in my car, Riley started crying. Not loud sobbing, just silent tears running down her face while she stared straight ahead. Riley, talk to me. What the hell happened? She took a shaky breath. Your brother kissed me. The world stopped. He what? I went to the bathroom. When I came out, he was in the hallway. Said he wanted to show me something in your dad's office. Some old photo album or whatever. Like an idiot, I followed him. She wiped her eyes. Soon as we got in there, he shut the door and kissed me. Grabbed my face and I pushed him off immediately. Told him he was disgusting. He laughed and said I was being dramatic. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Did anyone see? Your cousin Amy was coming out of the other bathroom. She definitely saw me push him away and leave the room. Then I came to find you. I started the car. My brain was on fire, but I forced myself to think clearly. I need to go back inside. Marcus, no. Stay here, lock the doors. I'll be 5 minutes. I walked back into that house and went straight to Derek. He was still on the couch, beer in hand, not a care in the world. Outside, now. Mom stepped forward. Marcus, what's this about? Ask your golden boy. I looked at Derek. Move. To his credit, he got up. We went out to the driveway where no one could hear us. What the fuck is wrong with you? I said, voice low and controlled. Derek put his hands up. Bro, she's lying. I don't know what she told you, but Amy saw you. His expression flickered. Just for a second, but I caught it. Look, it was nothing, he said. She came on to me, I backed off, she got embarrassed and made up this story. I laughed. Actually laughed. You're really going with that? I'm telling you the truth, man. Why would I do something like that? She's your girl. Exactly. She's my girl. And you couldn't stand that someone chose me over you for once in your pathetic life. His face darkened. Fuck you, Marcus. You think you're so much better than me? You've always looked down on me. On this whole family. I saved this family, I said. I'm the one who paid for that house you're standing in front of. But yeah, I'm the bad guy. I turned and walked back to my car. Derek shouted something after me, but I didn't catch it. Didn't care. Riley and I drove home in silence. When we got to her apartment, she finally spoke. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have gone in that room with him. I was so stupid. Hey, I took her hand. This is not your fault. Derek's a piece of shit. You did nothing wrong. Are you going to tell your parents the truth? I thought about it. Yeah, tomorrow. Let them process Thanksgiving first, then I'll call them. She nodded, still crying. I keep feeling disgusting, like I need to shower for 3 hours. Do you want me to stay? She did. I held her while she cried herself to sleep, and I lay there planning exactly what I was going to say to my family. The next morning, I called Mom. We need to talk about Derek. Oh, Marcus, I'm so glad you called. Derek told us what happened, and we're all very upset with Riley. My brain short-circuited. Excuse me? Derek said she got drunk and came on to him. He rejected her, and now she's embarrassed and trying to flip the story. Honey, I know you care about her, but maybe she's not who you thought she was. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Language, Marcus. Mom, Amy saw Derek pull Riley into that room. She saw Riley push him away. Riley wasn't drunk. She had 1 beer over the course of 5 hours. Derek is lying. Amy said she just saw them coming out of the office. She didn't see anything else. And Derek was very convincing about what happened. He even apologized for putting you in this situation. He apologized? For sexually assaulting my girlfriend? That's a very serious accusation, Marcus. I don't think we should be using that kind of language for what was obviously a misunderstanding. That's when I knew my whole family had already chosen sides, and I'd lost. So you're taking his word over mine? We're just saying maybe there's more to the story than Riley told you. Derek's your brother. He wouldn't do something like this to you. I hung up. Called Dad. Same story. Called Amy, my cousin. She tap danced around it but basically confirmed. She saw them leaving the office. Riley looked upset, but she didn't actually see the kiss. Derek had gotten to her first, spun his version, and now everyone believed him. Riley and I spent that weekend in crisis mode. She was devastated that my family was calling her a liar. I was trying to figure out how to proceed. Cut them off entirely? Demand Derek confess? Sue him somehow? Then, the Monday after Thanksgiving, I got a group text from Mom. Family meeting this Saturday at 3 p.m. Everyone needs to be there. We're going to clear the air about the Thanksgiving situation and move forward as a family. I didn't respond. Neither did Riley when she got the same text. Saturday came. I went alone. Riley refused to be in the same room as Derek, and I couldn't blame her. The family meeting was a fucking ambush. Mom and Dad sat me down in their living room, my living room, and proceeded to explain how Riley had made advances on Derek. Derek had handled it gracefully, and now she was embarrassed and trying to save face by lying. She needs to apologize, Mom said. To Derek, to this family, and then we can all move past this. I stared at her. You're actually serious right now. Marcus, I know it's hard to hear, but sometimes people we care about disappoint us. Riley made a mistake. We're willing to forgive her, but she needs to take accountability first. She made a mistake, I repeated slowly. Derek sexually assaults my girlfriend, and somehow she's the one who needs to apologize. Dad jumped in. Nobody's saying assault, Marcus. Don't be dramatic. Derek said she kissed him. He pushed her away. End of story. Maybe she had more to drink than you realized. She wasn't drunk. Or maybe there's some attraction there she wasn't ready to admit. The point is, these things happen. We forgive and move on. I stood up. I'm not moving on. Riley told me the truth. Derek is lying. And you're all choosing to believe him? Because you've spent his entire life making excuses for him. That's not fair, Mom said. We've always treated you both equally. I actually laughed out loud at that one. Equally? I paid off this entire house 8 years ago because you two couldn't manage your finances. Derek's never contributed a dollar to this family. But sure, we're treated equally. Mom's face went red. We're grateful for what you did, but that doesn't give you the right to what? Expect you to believe me? To have my back when my brother assaults my girlfriend? Sorry for having standards. I left. Didn't go back for 3 weeks. Ignored all calls and texts. Riley and I tried to move forward, but the damage was done. Every time we talked about the future, the engagement, moving in together, the question hung in the air. How could we build a life together when my entire family had sided with Derek? We broke up in early December. Mutual decision, mostly. Riley couldn't deal with the family drama, and I couldn't ask her to. She deserved better than a boyfriend whose family called her a liar and his brother a victim. I was devastated. Not just about losing Riley, but about what it represented. My family had shown me exactly where I ranked, and it wasn't even on the podium. Then came the Christmas text. Mid-December, Mom sent it to the family group chat. Christmas celebration at our house. December 25th at noon. Derek is bringing Riley as his date. She's apologized for the misunderstanding, and they've become close over the past few weeks. We're so happy to welcome her into the family properly this time. Can't wait to see everyone. I read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't having a stroke. Derek was bringing Riley to Christmas as his date, and she'd apologized. I called Riley immediately. It went to voicemail. Tried again. Same thing. Sent a text asking what the fuck was going on. She responded 2 hours later. I'm sorry, Marcus. Derek and I have been talking, and I realize I misunderstood what happened on Thanksgiving. We're going to try dating. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. I stared at that message for a solid 5 minutes. Then I started laughing. The kind of laugh you do when something is so completely fucked that you can't process it any other way. Derek had won. He'd assaulted my girlfriend, gaslit the entire family into believing she was the problem, and then swooped in as her supporter while she was vulnerable. And she'd fallen for it. Or maybe she just wanted to date someone whose family actually liked her. Either way, I was the collateral damage. I didn't respond to the Christmas text. Didn't respond to Riley's message. Just let it sit there while I figured out my next move. Because here's what my family didn't know. I still owned that house. The house they were planning to host Christmas in. The house Derek and Riley would presumably celebrate their new relationship in. The house that was still titled entirely in my name. I'd been lenient. Gave them free housing for 8 years. Never asked for rent. Never pulled rank as the actual homeowner. But there's a difference between being generous and being a doormat. I made a call to my real estate attorney. Guy named Philip, who'd helped me with some investment properties over the years. I need to transfer a property deed, I said. Need to make sure all the documentation is airtight. Sure thing. What property? I gave him the address. He pulled it up. This is the one in your name since 2015, right? The one your parents live in? That's the one. He was quiet for a beat. Marcus, I have to ask, are you sure about this? These situations get messy fast. I'm sure. What do I need to do? He walked me through it. Since the house was in my name free and clear, I had options. I could sell it, I could rent it out, or I could legally reclaim it as my primary residence and evict the current occupants. How long would eviction take? I asked. In Ohio, with proper notice? 30 days minimum. But if they're not paying rent and there's no formal lease agreement, there's a handwritten agreement from 8 years ago saying they can live there as long as they need. Is it notarized? No. Then legally it's worth about as much as toilet paper. You're being generous letting them stay rent-free, but you're under no legal obligation to continue. If you want them out, you can start the eviction process whenever you want. What kind of timeline are we looking at? Say I started the process tomorrow. I could file the paperwork on Monday. They'd get served with an official notice probably Tuesday or Wednesday. After that, 30 days for them to vacate. If they don't leave voluntarily, we go to court and get a formal eviction order. That adds maybe another 2 weeks. So roughly 45 days total from start to finish. I did the math in my head. If I started the process in mid-December, they'd be out by the end of January. but I could time it so they got the initial notice right around the holidays. Start the paperwork, I said. I want them served on New Year's Eve. Marcus, make it happen, Philip, he sighed. You're the client, but I'm putting it on record that I advised against this timing. Noted. I spent the next 2 weeks in a weird liminal space. Went to work, hit the gym, saw my boys for beers. Nobody knew what I was planning except Philip, and he was bound by attorney-client privilege. Christmas Day came. I stayed home, turned off my phone, ordered Chinese food and watched old kung fu movies. Didn't think about Derek and Riley sitting in my house, eating food in my kitchen, probably making out on my couch. Okay, I thought about it, but I didn't let it break me. The day after Christmas, I got a text from Mom. You missed a wonderful celebration. Derek and Riley are so happy together. We're disappointed you couldn't be mature enough to attend and be happy for your brother. I blocked her number. Blocked Dad's. Blocked Derek's. Kept Philip's unblocked and waited. New Year's Eve came. I was at a party with some college buddies when Philip texted me. Process server made the delivery at 4 p.m. today. Your parents were served. Shit's gonna hit the fan. Be ready. I smiled and ordered another drink. My phone started buzzing around 6 p.m. Unknown numbers. They'd figured out I'd blocked them and were calling from other people's phones. I ignored all of them. Let them stew. New Year's Day, I finally checked my voicemails. Had 17 of them. Started with Mom's. Marcus, what is this? Some process server came to our house yesterday with eviction papers? This has to be a mistake. Call me back immediately. Then Dad's. I don't know what kind of sick joke this is, but we need to talk. This is still our house. I don't care whose name is on some piece of paper. Then Derek's, and this one was interesting. Yo, what the fuck, bro? You're really going to kick Mom and Dad out of their house over some girl? Over Riley? That's fucked up even for you. Call me back so we can figure this out. Over some girl. Like that's what this was about. There were more. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all calling to tell me what a piece of shit I was for evicting my own parents. How dare I? They raised me. This is how I repay them. I'm selfish, cruel, heartless. Not one person asked me why. I sent one text to the family group chat. The only message I'd sent since Thanksgiving. The house located at address is legally owned by me and has been since 2015. I covered the mortgage in full when Mom and Dad were facing foreclosure. I allowed them to live there rent-free for 8 years as a courtesy. That courtesy is now over. They have 30 days to vacate. Do not contact me further. Then I left the group chat. The fallout was nuclear. Extended family took sides. Some people got it. I'd paid for the house, it was mine. I could do what I wanted with it. Most people thought I was a monster. Derek tried to play hero. Told everyone he'd find Mom and Dad a place to stay. Started a GoFundMe to help them with moving expenses that raised about $800 before people realized the story wasn't as simple as he was making it sound. Riley actually reached out in early January. Her text was something. Marcus, I heard about the house situation. I think we need to talk. I never meant for things to go this far. Derek and I aren't actually together. I was confused and hurt, and he was there. This is all such a mess. Can we please just talk? I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to reply, to tell her exactly what I thought of her and Derek and their little psychodrama, to ask if she really thought I'd take her back after she'd sided with my abuser and then dated him. But you know what? She wasn't worth the energy. I deleted the message without responding. Philip called me mid-January. They're not moving out. Filed a motion to dispute the eviction. Claiming verbal rental agreement, tenant rights, whole 9 yards. Can they do that? They can try. But they're going to lose. You own the property free and clear. There's no formal lease. And that handwritten agreement you mentioned? I had a handwriting expert look at it. It's not enforceable as a legal document even if we wanted to honor it, which we don't. So what happens now? We go to court. Judge will review the case, probably side with you since the law is pretty clear here, and issue a formal eviction order. They'll have another 2 weeks to leave after that, and if they still don't go, sheriffs will remove them physically. How long until court? Got a date for February 12th. Valentine's Day week, ironically enough. February 12th came. I showed up to court in a suit, Philip beside me with a folder full of documentation. Mom and Dad were there with some cut-rate attorney who was clearly doing this as a favor or pro bono. Their lawyer's argument was basically, these are elderly parents who relied on their son's verbal promise that they could live in the house forever. It's unconscionable to evict them now. Philip stood up. Your Honor, my client is the sole owner of the property in question. He paid the full mortgage in 2015 when the defendants were facing foreclosure. There is no formal lease agreement, My client allowed the defendants to live in his property rent-free for 8 years. He is now exercising his legal right to reclaim his property. But this is a family matter, their attorney argued. Surely there's room for mediation. My client attempted to resolve this as a family matter. The defendants chose their other son over my client repeatedly, culminating in supporting said son after he assaulted my client's girlfriend. My client has no obligation, moral or legal, to continue providing free housing to people who have shown him nothing but contempt. The judge looked at the paperwork, looked at my parents, looked at me. Mr. Harrison, he said to me, this is your property? Yes, Your Honor. And you wish to reclaim it as your primary residence? Yes, Your Honor. Is there any formal lease agreement or rental contract in place? No, Your Honor. He looked at my parents. Do you have documentation of a rental agreement or any written promise that you could reside in this property indefinitely? Their attorney shuffled papers. We have a handwritten note. Let me see it. The note was passed up. The judge read it in about 10 seconds. This is not a legal document. It's a personal note with no terms, no signatures, no notarization. This has no legal bearing on the case. He banged his gavel. I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff. The defendants have 14 days from today to vacate the property. If they fail to do so, law enforcement will assist with removal. Court dismissed. My parents looked shell-shocked. Their attorney tried to say something about appeals, but the judge was already moving to the next case. Outside the courthouse, Mom tried to approach me. Marcus, please. Where are we supposed to go? I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who'd raised me but never really saw me. Who'd chosen Derek over me so many times I'd lost count. Who'd called my girlfriend a liar to protect her golden boy. You'll figure it out, I said. You're resourceful people. We're your parents. And Derek's your son. Ask him for help. I'm sure his new girlfriend Riley will want to support her new boyfriend's family. Dad stepped forward. You're really going to do this? Put us out on the street over some grudge? Some grudge? Dad, Derek assaulted Riley. Your response was to tell me she deserved it and invite her to Christmas as his date. That's not a grudge. That's you showing me exactly where your priorities are. She came on to him. She didn't. And you know what? Even if she had, even if every word Derek said was true, you still chose him over me. You always have. So now you get to live with that choice. I walked away. Philip followed. Behind me, I could hear Mom crying and Dad yelling about how I was tearing the family apart. They had 12 days left. I heard through the grapevine, the cousins who'd stayed neutral in all this, that Derek stepped up. Sort of. He and Riley broke up about a week after the court date. Apparently, once the thrill of the taboo relationship wore off and real consequences started hitting, neither of them wanted to deal with the mess. Derek moved Mom and Dad into his apartment, a one-bedroom place he'd been renting with his unemployment money and whatever cash Mom and Dad could slip him, all three of them in about 600 square feet. From what I heard, it lasted about 2 weeks before they were all at each other's throats. Mom and Dad ended up in a shitty 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. Dad had to come out of retirement and get a job at Home Depot. Mom started working at a local grocery store. Both of them in their mid-60s, starting over because they'd chosen wrong. Derek's still Derek. Last I heard, he was selling insurance or some other commission-based job that he'll quit in 6 months when it gets hard. Riley sent me one more text in March. I'm sorry isn't enough, I know. But I am sorry. For all of it. Derek showed me who he really is pretty quick after we got together. You deserved better from all of us. I didn't respond to that one either. As for the house, I moved in. Spent about $15,000 renovating it. New paint, new floors, updated kitchen. Got rid of everything that reminded me of them. Had my boys over for the Super Bowl. Hosted a poker night. Started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I'm good with taking it slow. My bedroom is in what used to be Derek's room. Figured that was fitting. Extended family still judges me. Half think I'm justified, half think I'm cruel. I don't really give a shit either way. The people whose opinions mattered proved they didn't deserve to have them heard. I got a letter from Mom in April. Handwritten, sent to my new address. Well, my old address that's now new again. She rambled about forgiveness and family and how we should all move past this. Know what I did with it? Filed it with all the other documentation from the eviction, just in case I ever need a reminder of what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. I'm not the bad guy here. I gave them 8 years of free housing. I believed Riley when she told me the truth. I tried to make them see reason. They chose Derek every single time, so I chose myself. Now they're living with the consequences of their choices, and I'm living in my house, my actual legal house that I bought and paid for, in peace. Family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by who shows up for you when it matters. My family proved they'd never show up for me. So I stopped showing up for them. Some people call it revenge. I call it justice. Others call it cruel. I call it consequences. And yeah, I'm sleeping just fine at night. Edit. For everyone asking, yes, Derek tried to contest the eviction by claiming he lived there too. Philip shut that down real quick by proving Derek never had any legal right to residency since he wasn't on any documentation and never paid rent. Judge didn't even entertain it. Edit 2. Riley's tried to reach out twice more since March. Blocked her number after the second attempt. I'm done being anyone's backup plan or emotional support animal. Edit 3. To the people saying I should have warned them I'd evict them if they sided with Derek. I did. I told them repeatedly what Derek did was unacceptable. They chose not to believe me. Natural consequences aren't cruelty. They're reality. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting people experience the consequences of their own actions while you move on with your life. They made their bed. Now they get to sleep in it, while I sleep in mine, in my house. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.